Yeah.
All right, everybody. We are back again this week with another episode of Granted. Today I have someone that I don't know too well, but someone I would consider a good friend immediately off of how we know each other. And today I'm bringing on Jeremiah. So welcome.
Hello. Well, I'm Jeremiah, as he foreshadowed.
Yes.
I am a sophomore here at UT studying business. What is it? I just changed my major
Oh, you did.
yeah,
That's
like two
right.
weeks ago. So I think it's like business management with a concentration in entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So
Yes,
yeah,
that's beautiful. But yeah, Jeremiah, would you care to tell the audience kind of how we got connected and
sure.
kind of our short story of friendship, if you will?
Well, I saw you. I've seen your work. We've been following each other on Instagram for I don't know, since freshman year, but
Yeah.
I've been like a silent observer. So then I thought, hey, like, why don't I reach out to him if he needs any guests? I have an extensive friend group, and so thought I'd share you with you my network, and then you're like, well, how about we get you on?
Yeah,
And I was
that's
like,
right.
okay,
And here we are.
why
And here
not?
we
Yeah,
are.
here we are.
Yeah, so I mean, I just wanted to start off by saying I think it's incredible that you were willing to reach out to me in that manner, and I'm very grateful to have you here today, not only because you can touch on so many things, but just because of the nature of how we met. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's not every day. Like, I would consider myself a creator, but I'm a small creator. Do you know what
Sure.
I mean? I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
getting DMs from companies trying to do promotions and all this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So the fact that, someone was trying to take their time out of their day to send me a message as
Mm.
you did and help me
Yeah.
without even knowing me is something that I think really stands out about you,
Mm.
and immediately I was just like, wow, I've never really met someone like that. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
let's get into the core material here.
Okay.
I think that you have a lot to share, not only because of who you are as a person, but what you're involved in. Could
Mm.
you tell us a little bit more about all of the things that you have going on
Oh Lord.
as a student? I know there's a lot.
Yeah, well, thankfully I've dialed back. Freshman year was insane. I was on campus 13 hours a day,
Yeah.
and I barely got any sleep. Um, but I guess currently I'm an Ignite team leader.
Hmm.
I know applications for that just closed, so hopefully I'll be a returning TL, as they call them. I work in the office of the vice chancellor, so I am a student assistant. I work the desk to answer phone calls. I'm just like their student secretary, but it's not much of a job.
Okay.
And I occasionally write opinions articles for the Daily Beacon. I haven't done any of that this year yet, just because time hasn't permitted. And then last year I was a part of first year council with student government, and then I even helped a friend run for vice president. We
Wow.
lost, which is fine, but it was a great experience to connect. I think we got over 1,000 votes.
That's
So
amazing.
those were like 1,000 individual conversations we had
Wow.
with students on campus. So that was a fantastic experience. A new ambassador for the Anderson Center of Entrepreneurship and Innovation
Yes,
through the
sir.
Haslam College. So that's a new endeavor I'll be on. I'm forgetting things. It's all in my email
I know.
signature.
That's what I was looking at too.
I
I was
have
like,
no
yo, he's
idea.
got a lot going on, man.
Yeah.
But I am curious because you came in as a freshman, immediately got involved with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm just hanging around. I'm in
Yeah.
Hess, I'm just hanging around having fun. I think that's great too. But
Yeah.
what motivated you to come in as a freshman and just be like, I'm getting involved, I'm doing all of it?
Well, I've heard the stories, you ever had adults in your life, they're like, oh, when you get to college, like you have to make the most out of it. And as cliche as it is, it's true. And so I thought, okay, I'm not going to have a single year wasted because I know a lot of people, even freshman year, it's like, oh, I'll figure it out and then, I'll lock in. But for me, I thought, well, yes, I'll have a similar experience, but my hope is that my freshman year will not only be a learning opportunity, but it's like prime time. And I also knew that I'm the type of guy that will like work super hard for an extended amount of time and then just like hope to not anymore. So I thought, let me just make the connections, do the things, get the
Right.
jobs, and then I can sit in the fruit of my labor for the last 3 years of my college experience. So I thought I just do the hard work now and then the rest of it will take care of itself. And that has proven to be true. I mean, I worked my butt off last year and now I'm chilling because I have these connections. And
Right.
so I remember during it was welcome week, so it was only freshmen on campus the week prior to classes starting. and we were doing some workshop thing, and there's the person who was leading this workshop, and I always go to that person. I always go to the person that's leading the room. So I found her at some event a couple days later, and I just told her, I said, hey, I'm Jeremiah, I'm a freshman, and I want to make a name for myself on campus. And she's like, cool, let me hook you up with the student body president at the time. So met him, and then I got to meet the vice chancellor, got some pictures, and kind of the rest is history. So
That's
yeah.
amazing. Yeah, because I mean, again, a lot of students are coming in trying to figure it out. That's how I was.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what would define a wasted year for you? Because I imagine a wasted year for you is
Sure.
still, of leagues beyond what someone else's would be. So I'm just curious what that would look like.
Well, it's subjective for sure.
Yeah.
I think for me, a wasted year is, did I get out of boundaries that I'm comfortable doing? Did I get out of my comfort zone? Because I think for so many people, it's easy to stay comfortable. But if you're comfortable, you're not growing. Because, I mean, there's growing pains. Like, we felt that as kids. And that's true in a personal sense, too. So I think really what you have to do is be able to be in a position to where you're uncomfortable. And obviously it'll work out. It'll suck. It's like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to be a motivational speaker that's telling you like it's all going to work out, and it will, but it's going to suck while you're doing it. But you have to kind of have that perseverance.
Okay, so
Yeah.
can you give me an example of something that was really uncomfortable for you, or multiple things because you continue to do it, right?
Yeah. Well, I think so. I was a part of first year council with student government. The first semester was amazing. I made so many friends, and still chat to with some of them to this day. But the second semester, we started. I don't know. There was just a shift in the atmosphere, and all of us like did not want to be there. And so I just like, man, this is not my place. These are not my people. But this is a 1 year program that I'm committed to, and it was highly competitive. So like I just have to be here.
Yeah.
So I ended up kind of leveraging that to my benefit, and I don't want to say trauma bonding because it makes it sound really extreme. It really wasn't that bad. But I mean, that helped foster some connections and conversations with people I otherwise wouldn't have talked to.
Right.
Because in all settings, you'll find your group of people, and that's your group of people. But I, branched out, and it's actually the people that I never thought that I'd talk to that I'm still talking to. So,
Right. Yeah. So
yeah.
you made something really positive out of a negative
Yeah.
experience. And, it's interesting you mentioned the piece about being uncomfortable. I think people realize that, but I recently just finished a book written by David Goggins. I'm sure everyone here is familiar with who he is, and he takes that to a whole nother level. But everything that he wrote in that book really resonated with me because it was saying the exact same thing. I mean, if you don't push beyond your comfort zone and what you know to be capable, you'll never figure out where your limits are. And
Yeah.
so for him, that was a physical thing. Like he would do so many physical
Yeah.
things to break his body, push his body. And then he found out what the limits truly were, which was
Yeah.
insane, like
Yeah.
way beyond anything you could think of. And I think that goes for life too. You got to keep doing things that are uncomfortable. How
If I
have
can,
you,
sorry,
what's
before
up?
before you keep going, just to add to that too, once you go past that comfort zone, your comfort zone expands. So what was uncomfortable is now comfortable for you.
Right.
And so like freshman year, me reaching out to a random person, I don't know, no thanks. But because that's something I ended up doing, it's because I forced myself to get in that flow. So
Right.
it's gonna be uncomfortable, but it's not gonna stay uncomfortable.
Okay, I love
So I
that.
just wanted to throw that out there too
No,
before we,
absolutely. That's what
yeah,
this is about, expanding on your comfort zone,
yeah.
basically. Wait, so who were you reaching out to that you didn't know last year? Like, what was that?
Um, well, I guess the first and foremost, I forget what it's called, but do you know the vice provost, Amber Williams?
I've heard.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
she did some workshop where you had to like write down like your goals, and then you could like send a picture and send it to her Instagram DM.
Okay.
And I was at first, I'm like, why would I do that? But I'm like, well, she said that she would look at them, so like that's a guaranteed like message response.
Yeah.
So then she like sent this very basic response, and then I'm like, I'm not gonna just leave it at that. So then I kept like I began a conversation with the vice provost for student success, and we just have an extensively long list of Instagram DMs. Like this is an individual I should be emailing. So I think,
Oh, it's so good.
yeah. So I was just like, oh wait, this is kind of easy, once you start a conversation. So now, I feel like I can start a conversation with anyone.
Yeah.
I think it was organic in how I reached out to you, and it didn't seem like, oh, who is this guy? I think, I mean, you could have a totally different experience, and correct me on that, but I can find a way to connect with people very quickly.
Which I think is a gift.
Yeah,
That's something that you
thank you.
do very well. And I mean, shoot, if you're sending, multiple messages the way you did to me, I don't see any reason why someone would not reach back out.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the end of the day, you came to me with a very kind message, and
Mm-hmm.
why would I not respond to something like that?
Yeah.
And also try and take the help that you're giving me.
Mm-hmm.
I think even if I'm not looking for your help, it still deserves a response because you're
Sure.
coming,
Yeah.
even if you don't know the individual, telling them what you notice and telling them what you see and what they're doing well,
Mm.
that makes any person feel good. So I
Yeah.
think what you're doing is really special. It is because what did you tell me during our conversation? You just really want to see people succeed. Am
Yeah.
I wrong? Like
Yeah.
you want other people's goals to become true as much as you want your own to become true.
That's right. Yeah.
I this is kind of, I mean, we're going, I mean, there's no script here, but could you tell me a little bit about what are your own goals? Where do you want to land in the future? You're doing all this work, making all these
Mm-hmm.
connections. What is it for in the long run for you?
Sure. I think for me, it actually has nothing to do with any academic. It doesn't even have anything to do professionally.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I want to be able to make a life for myself that's comfortable. I have had a very, Lord, my past and my whole childhood experience up to adulthood is wild. I mean, we can get into that. I'd be happy to get into that. But for me, the biggest thing is family and having a community of people around you, because I totally believe family are the chosen people. Those are the people you choose, and so for me, it's all for my future family,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, those are the people you have to go home to. Sure, you'll have a job, clock in 9 to 5, but those things can change. Those things can vary, but the people that you consider family, they're the
Mm-hmm.
ones that stick. And so for me, I'm like, well, let me make the most out of this college experience, and then my kids or people that may look up to me will see all of those efforts and understand like, hey, it's worth it. Because like, am I settling down having a family right now? Absolutely not. Will I do that in the next couple of years? Absolutely not. But I know that things build, and it's all a chain reaction. And so to me, if I can be a good steward as a college student, then I can definitely excel, just as a community member or as a friend or as a family member.
Yeah.
And so for me, I take it all personally, which has its gifts and its curses.
Mm.
But I don't know. I think at the end of the day, it's just making me a better person, primarily for myself and for other people.
Yeah.
Like I can leave here with whatever degree I want, and I'm not going to care because I know that wherever I end up as a job, I'll excel in. But when it comes to relationships or friendships like this, like those are things that I don't take lightly. And so since I take it very seriously, those are the things that I try and leverage.
Yeah. I
So
think I think that is so beautiful, by the way,
yeah.
because with the media, with everything going on in the present day, I even myself have a hard time focusing on what really is important in
Mm-hmm.
life. And we can
Yeah.
get into that. And what you mentioned is family,
Mm-hmm.
relationships, friendships. I think that is really what we're here to do. And
Yeah.
I honestly commend you for that because you can focus on the money, you can focus on the
Right.
fame.
Yeah.
I have my fair share of, having that focus,
Yeah.
but
Well, same
at the
here.
end of the
Yeah.
day, family is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard that from so many people and you really don't get there is not a second family that you get. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
get one
Yeah.
and they're always not all families are the most supportive, I know that.
Mm-hmm.
But from my standpoint, my
Mm-hmm.
family is always going to be there to
Yeah.
support me no matter what happens, and I think I'm so grateful to have that should be number one,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm a little bit jealous of you because you get to live close to your family, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's such an impactful thing, right? You get to maintain that
Mm-hmm.
relationship during college, and
Yeah.
they're there for help if you need them, right? Um, I don't know where else I was going with this, but yes, I think relationships are very, very much probably the most important thing
Yeah.
in life. And you already know that
Yeah.
probably.
I mean, when as a student, our biggest priority, well, first of all, classes, right? Like I need to get a good grade, or I need to, or C's get degree, however, whatever that threshold of good is for you.
Yeah.
But I think I have that long term mentality of a class is going to last at most a semester or a year, depending, I guess, on the class. But the relationships that you build, those can be lasting. And so for me, I would much rather focus on the long term than the short term. And so I think a lot of people get those things mixed up of, oh, well, this is right in front of me, so I have to, this is my main priority, which definitely put it on that priority list, but it doesn't have to be your main priority.
Yeah, absolutely.
The university would probably hate me saying that, but at the end of the day, we're just a big pool of people from all over the world. And when are you ever going to be in that position again? When are you going to be around 40,000 students that have come from all over the world? Like, you won't.
Yeah.
This is the only time.
Yeah.
And so that goes back to I don't want a year wasted. If you make one friendship a year, to me, that's a success.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, it doesn't have to be deep or it doesn't have to be incredibly wild, but as long as you're making those connections and you're putting yourself out there, the world is your oyster. So
Relationships last much longer than a class does.
that's right.
I think that's a great
Yeah.
way to phrase that, right? That you said. I also think the other thing to realize is even when managing your stress, because I had a moment, I've had a few moments this week where it just feels overwhelming,
Yeah.
right? You've got classwork, you've got all the things that you're involved in, I'm involved with some stuff too. And it's just, it can become overwhelming with how much there is going on. Sometimes you do have to take that step back and be like,
Yeah.
it will be over soon. Not in the sense that it's bad,
Right. Yeah.
but there will be a time where you will get to rest, and I'm sure you felt that freshman year. Like you
Yeah.
worked so hard, and then when those breaks come, you're like, you
Yeah.
know, everything is temporary in that sense.
Yeah.
The relationships might not be, which is what
That's right.
we're both
Yeah.
trying to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, from a stress standpoint, it will all work out is kind of a simple way to put it, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you will graduate here at some point and you will look back, and even if you didn't do the best that you could have, you still did it. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
looping around right now, but
You're
let's
making sense. Don't worry.
I
Yeah.
hope so. I hope I'm making sense, bro. Anyways, we can move on. What do you think is this is a more general life question. What is one of the bigger challenges you faced in your life, and how did you handle it, and why did you handle it the way you did?
Wow. Okay. So I looked over that question and it took me a hot minute to, how do I verbalize this?
Okay.
So I think I'll have to give you some context.
Okay.
So I spent my so I was born here in East Tennessee, which is where that family connection comes in. But I did move up north for my formative years of middle school and high school, up in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And so I lived with some family up there for a long time. And um, they were very manipulative. Sometimes I'm like, am I the kid in this relationship or am I the adult here? Like, sometimes you have those questions. And so for me, there was a point in my junior year of high school where I just made the decision I'm going to move out on my 18th birthday and
Okay.
be completely independent. And I mean, that is an incredibly huge task
Yeah.
that anyone, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're 18 or if you're out of college or if you're out of grad school, you don't realize all of the things that it takes to be a functional
No,
adult in the world.
seriously.
I remember, so first of all, I was looking for an apartment and I was apartment hunting at 17, and I'm not even I can't I'm not old enough to have a credit card. So, and most of these places need a credit score. And so I'm trying to deal with that. And so I went on a tour at this one apartment, and there was like this family that just walked out right after or before I was gonna go in.
Mm-hmm.
And now usually I'm a very empathetic person, but like I was like, no, you're competition. Like I need to, how do I prove myself better than two like actual adults with like dependents?
Yeah.
So I remember I went on this tour and then I emailed the landlord and was like, hey, so I'm actually not even legally allowed to live in an apartment. I don't have a credit score, but like I want a place to stay. And
Yeah.
so I was just explaining how I had a car and how I paid it off and how all of these reasons why I'm financially responsible. And so then the landlord was like, okay, like I'll give you this place. And so
Wow.
I signed a lease at 17. I don't think that's legal, but we did.
Holy crap.
And so I had an apartment ready, and then had a job at the time that I was able to have health and dental insurance. And then this was in a different like town, and so I didn't know if I could keep going to high school where I was going to.
Mm.
So I had to talk to the people that were with the school board. I'm like, hey, can I open enroll? How does this work? How can I be my own parent? And then I was trying to figure out, car insurance and food and gas, electricity. I mean, you don't realize how much it takes.
Yeah.
And so I had been working since I was 15 because my parents at the time were saying that I had to 100% be responsible for my college tuition. Like
Okay.
they wouldn't put a dime towards it.
Yeah.
And so I took them at their word, and I knew that they had good faith in what they were saying of like, we want you to learn how to save and how to be financially responsible. But I mean, when you're going over the numbers as you're trying to find a place to go to college, and it's like, what do you mean $30,000 a year?
Right.
Like, this is ridiculous. I don't want to be paying debt for the rest of my life.
Right.
I hate owing people money. That's like one of the biggest things that I just don't like to do.
Yeah.
And so I was also on a college hunt at that time and taking the ACT and working and in school, and I'm also trying to like be an adult. It was
Okay.
insane. I don't even know how I did it, but I managed to get all of the pieces together, and on my 18th birthday, I moved out.
That's incredible.
So it was quite the experience.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Okay.
so
So tell me a little bit about what that was like living on your own. How long did you do it for?
well, gosh, this is such a complicated story. I only lived there for 2 months.
Okay.
Now, so up to my 18th birthday, I was working for those 3 years. I had about $8,000 saved plus a paid off car. So, I mean, I was in a pretty good spot
Yeah,
financially.
absolutely.
And so I thought, oh, I can definitely, it was a year-long lease. And so my plan was I was going to go to a college in Wisconsin, the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I had $10,000 of scholarships lined up. My lease would get up, and then as soon as the lease was up, I'd just move into my dorm.
Okay.
And like I had the next 5 years of my life planned.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know how life goes,
Yeah.
and it never goes to
No,
plan.
it does not.
So within the first 2 months, it cost me about $5,000 just of me trying to live on my own, and like I just did not
Oh
realize
my
where all this
goodness.
money was going from. And I was still working, and so I could have made it and gone by, but I don't like to be the guy that just like got.
Yeah.
I want to have some support, even just financially. I want to have like a safety cushion. And so I had an aunt and uncle here who had actually offered to let me live with them like once I moved out. And I was like, no, like I've built a life here. I have friends. I have this college I want to go to. So I kept saying no, and they kept asking me like, do you want to just come move to Tennessee? And I'm like, no, like I don't want to do that.
Mm.
And so, but then I'm like seeing my bank account like quickly dwindle, and I'm like, okay, let me maybe reconsider this, sentiment. And anyway, I was like, okay, fine, I'll consider it. Let me see what it would be like logistically. So I went to school and I was like, hey, if I wanted to graduate early, what does that look like? They're like, oh, well, we need to know by Friday. And I'm like, excuse me, what? And then I was like, well, if I need to apply for, college is like in Tennessee, like a lot of those applications are closing or they're
Mm-hmm.
about to close. I think this was in November. So I was just like, what is happening? And so I, I don't know. I just kept considering it, and I'm like, okay, I'll move back, like just by blind faith. And
Yeah.
then when I go back, because I'll go and get a high school diploma in Tennessee, and then I'll go from there. Because if I wanted to go to a Tennessee college, I am not paying out of state. So I'm like, if I have a Tennessee diploma, maybe that'll help. So anyway, by the time I decided I was going to move out, um, I had about 2 weeks to pack up and move across the country.
Wow.
And I also had to send an email to that landlord to be like, hey, remember me?
Yeah.
Remember how like
Yeah.
incredibly gracious you were? Like, actually, I need to not be here anymore. And so, but I found someone to take over my lease so that I was able to leave without penalty.
Okay.
And so I was able to just get those logistics. And so I ended up moving here, and then I went to high school at Central High School. It's where like Kelsey Ballerini went to high school. Like, I don't know,
Okay.
it's north of here, but it's a well-known school. And that's just where my aunt and uncle happened to be zoned. So I'm like, fine, I'll just, go get a high school diploma. And then I had a different family member who's a realtor, and she said, hey, did you know that if you go to Central High School, you can go to UT tuition free? And I was
Holy
like,
crap.
what? Like, at first we're like, we don't believe you. And
Yeah.
she's like, well, yeah, it's because it's a more of a marginalized community over there, and the UT system has select schools where if you meet a GPA threshold, you can go to UT free of tuition. And she's like, because I'm a realtor, this is like a selling point. Like, hey, if
Mm.
you move here and your kids go to high school here, you don't have to worry about your child's tuition. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a huge relief.
Yeah, it's insane.
So I was already enrolled there, and then I found out about that. And so, anyway, I graduated with a little over a 4.0. And so obviously that like well exceeds that GPA minimum. And so I applied here, which that was crazy because like the acceptance rate here is crazy low.
It is.
I was hearing horror stories of people who had over a 4.0 and they had a perfect ACT score and they were getting rejected from the University of Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, crap. Like half the battle is trying to get in.
Right. Right.
Like I can graduate with this high school diploma all I want, but if I can't use it, then what the heck? So I remember they said it would be mid to late February I'd hear back. And it was Leap Day of 2024. So it's February 29th, and I
Okay.
still haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's over.
Yeah.
Screw life. And so, but I ended up getting an email at 7 p.m. that night saying, congratulations, you're a Tennessee volunteer.
Wow.
And here I am. So I had not planned to be here at all.
Yeah.
Like I was committed, so I had to like decommit and then apply here and then commit. But like no matter how hard I tried to make it work for myself, just there is a better plan out there for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could not have logistically pulled off what I'm living in now, but you know, here I am.
Yeah. Wow.
So
It's what an incredible
yeah,
story.
sorry. So it's very complicated,
No, that's it's
but yeah.
it kind of speaks to because to me you seem a lot more mature than
Mm,
a lot of kids our age, and I think part of that is
yeah.
because you took it upon yourself
Hmm.
to live on your own, man. And
Yeah.
even though it didn't work out
Hmm.
necessarily, I mean, it worked
Yeah.
out.
I
It
did.
clearly
Yeah.
worked out, but that's crazy because I think
Yeah.
a lot of people that grow up here
Hmm.
know what their future looks like.
Right.
They had their families
Hmm.
went here or they now live in
Yeah.
Tennessee. It's pretty much guaranteed.
Hmm.
I'm jealous of that because I'm paying out of state tuition.
Oh Lord.
So with that said, I think for you it was very different. You had
Yeah.
no idea where
Hmm.
you were going to end up. You were supposed to be in Wisconsin. You end up
Hmm.
here, and then not
Yeah.
only do you end up here, you end up making an incredible impact here, which you've already
Yeah.
done. But then
Well,
you
I
have a lot more to
appreciate
go.
that.
But like you have more, three more years, 2 more years, 2.5 more years,
Well, I'm a sophomore, so what is that? Two more, like two
like
and a
two and a
half?
half,
Yeah, yeah,
2.5 more years of
yeah.
doing what you've already done. So what a
Yeah.
story.
Oh wait, I have one more like awesome thing to share.
Yeah, what's up?
So with the scholarships that I ended up getting so on the FAFSA I was considered an independent when I filed last year.
Okay.
And so I actually got refund checks in the mail. So I basically
Mm,
got paid to go to college
that is
last year.
crazy.
And I remember the first round of checks that first semester, it had made up the difference plus some of all of that money I spent trying to live on my own. So it's
Wow.
like I got paid back for
Oh
it.
my gosh, that's
So it just
crazy.
was, I mean, I'm a man of faith. I know that that was a God thing because there's no way that, so the fact that I am able to live with family that loves me
Mm-hmm.
and go to a university free of tuition, get paid for it, get paid back the money I lost living on my own.
Right.
I mean, how else do you explain
No
that?
better
Yeah.
situation, right?
So,
That's incredible. And it kind of leads me to my next question, which is why did you want to live on your own so badly, if you don't mind me
no,
asking?
yeah. I think so. My entire life has had a lot of inconsistencies within the home, which is why like that family is such an important thing for me. And so for me, I just thought, this living on my own is like making a home for myself, and like there's no greater power move than to be able to prove to people that didn't think that you could make it that you can make it.
Right.
And so for me, that's just like the biggest thing is I know the dreams and visions I have for my life, only I have access to those.
Yeah.
And so only I can speak to those, and only I can hold myself to those standards, and only I at the end of the day can do those things.
Right.
And so I think college is a great way to kind of be independent but have that like, backbone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy to me that people, this is your first time living away from family, and I
Right.
feel like I've been there, done that,
Right.
so I think that puts me at an advantage where I can support fellow students, like, oh, this is, you being independent. First of all, this is why it's empowering, like it's not lonely, like sure this is why you need relationships, but at the end of the day, like you're the one that has to look at yourself in the mirror.
Right.
So to me, that independence is the most important thing. And then, yeah, if that answers your
Okay.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and the crazy thing too is I totally understand why you would want to do that. I think it's crazy that, and you did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
literally made that happen, but at such a young age,
Mm-hmm.
which is so hard. I've
Yeah.
never heard a story like that. So no wonder it's just I don't even know what to say yet because
Yeah.
you had such a huge goal at such a young age and you
Mm-hmm.
actually did it. You actually got to experience what that's like,
Mm-hmm.
and not many people can say that. So that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's a cool path to get
Yeah.
here.
It's great.
But let's move on. Let's see what we got going. Let's see what else how do we need to touch on. Okay. Let's let's continue on that just general life
Mm-hmm.
questions.
Yeah.
Everyone has their struggles in life.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for someone that's going through a rough time, struggling to find their happiness?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're a college student, maybe they're not, but
Yeah.
how do you get out of a hole even if they're not, even like if they're if depression is
Mm-hmm.
involved or not? How
Yeah.
do you get out of that hole and how do you find hope at the end of the tunnel? Because
Mm.
for you, I'm sure living on your own, some at some points you were probably
Yeah.
doubting yourself a little bit.
Yeah. I was incredibly depressed. And when I moved back here, I was incredibly depressed because I had it. I had my freedom, and then it kind of felt like it was robbed from me in a
Mm,
sense because when I had to revert back to living with other people and in a role like that. And
mm-hmm.
so that was very hard. But um, to me, the biggest thing that I'm still trying to learn is that it's okay to ask for help
Yeah.
because for so long I was like, I'm just gonna do it on my own. Now, independence does not mean that you like it's solely you that gets you there. Like I can guarantee, like I would not be here in this couch on this couch right now if it wasn't for people that had invested time or effort or energy into my life at some point in time. Whether it was, a professor or like a teacher in grade school, or if it was a family member or a family friend, you have to understand that you can't do it on your own. Which
Mm-hmm.
that sounds really depressing, but when you think about it, there's such beauty in the sense that community is required.
Yeah.
And community is what college students especially are looking for. Like when as soon as you get on campus, besides, oh, how do I get to class? Your number one stress is where are my people?
Right.
Who are they? How do I get involved? Where do we meet? All of these questions, like, are they my roommates? Are they in Hess? Are they in, some campus organization? Are they going to be in a class that I'm going to be in? Like, we all have this longing for belonging and community. And so when you're feeling stuck and in a rut, it's easy for you to just like be by yourself and to kind of get away from that community. But for me, especially, communities hold me accountable. Like if they know that I'm not, at my happiest,
Mm-hmm.
they'll call me out on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very uncomfortable, but it's nice to know that people notice. And so when you begin to surround yourself by people that notice and people that genuinely care and invest in you, then like you'll want to be around them and they will help get you out of that rut because we can internalize things and think about how pitiful our life is or our situation at that moment. And thinking is not going to get your way out of that. It's
Mm,
just going to dig that hole deeper. And so, in order to get out of it, you have to have a helping hand that will reach out and that you can trust to grab onto. Because, especially as young men, I mean, the biggest thing is, oh, like we can do it ourselves. But the fact is, it takes more of a man to be like, hey, I can't do it on my own. I need help. That is much more of a power move than, you being prideful,
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think, I don't know, it's just, get out of the pajamas, get off the couch, stop eating the ice cream, and get in a community of people that love you. And I mean, that'll really help you.
Yeah, I think it's very powerful because I'm just touching back on. I'm thinking again of just you can't do anything on your own because it is a little bit unfortunate that is the case.
It
But
is.
at the same time,
Yeah.
it encourages relationships
Mm-hmm.
to be built, and that's we already touched on that being
Yeah.
one of the most important things in life is just
Mm-hmm.
the relationships you have. But yes, that is good advice. Is
Yeah.
basically, if anything, surround yourself with people,
Yep.
even if they're not your people to a T.
Mm-hmm.
I think just interacting with people can help
That's right.
get you out of a hole,
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting though. What would you say to an introvert
Mm.
if they were in that?
So people are going to think I am the world's biggest liar. What I'm about to tell you is that I am an extroverted introvert. So I'm an introvert at heart, and
Yeah.
people are like, "You are so full of it. Like that is so not true." But for me, I gain energy by being alone and sitting in my thoughts and being reflective.
Mm,
Like, if someone was like, "Hey, let's go to the Joe after school," I'm like, "No, like that would drain my energy." Or, "Oh,
right.
let's go to a party." No, thanks. Like I would just be so exhausted. So that's how what I've heard the definition of is an extrovert is someone who thrives and will regain energy by being in a public setting with surrounded by people, and an introvert reclaims that energy by being alone.
Okay.
So maybe that gives you more insight
That's
into like
very interesting.
yeah,
So even maybe just being, but it's hard though. So let's say someone who's having a hard time who is also introverted,
yeah,
they already gain their energy by being alone, but so how do they get out of a rut then,
right,
right? Because they're on their own already, but then
yeah,
they're on their own feeling a little bit worse about their situation. So
yeah.
what would you say there?
I think the biggest thing, not just for introverts, but I think for all people, is the fear of conversation. How do you start a
Mm,
conversation? How do you form a connection? Because once a connection is formed, I mean, it can be that's the easy part is after that. But the hardest part is like, hear all the time, how do I make friends as an adult? Right? Like when you're in kindergarten, like someone can just come up to you and be like, "You're my friend now."
yeah,
And it's like, "Okay, we're friends." And like that's it. Like I kind of feel like this is what this situation's like. It's like, "Okay, we're friends
yeah,
now." Like, "Okay,
yeah,
great." And that's not at all how adulthood works,
yeah.
right? And so I think you have to first of all, find a niche or an interest of yours or a passion of yours. So, I mean, I'm not this way at all, but like if I were an introvert and I love to draw or to paint, like let's find some artists, either like a group, a club on campus, or I don't know, go to some local, gallery or something. And I don't know, get to know people there. And even if you don't find your people, you may find people that have your people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're a couple connections away from getting where
Definitely.
you want to be. So I think start where conversation is natural to you. So like you're not just gonna come up to a stranger because like and everyone hates small talk. Like how's the weather? How's this? I'm very good at that because you have to be in the
Mm-hmm.
world. But I think especially for an introverted person to really shine, you have to get them past those really awkward standard like how are you questions and get to what are you passionate about? Why are you passionate about it? Oh, I'm passionate about this too, and really get that bond. So
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question. I think it's hard. It's hard for all of us in different ways, and going back, sometimes you just have to get uncomfortable. And for me, if you're not willing to give up comfort for something greater, then I guess I would pose the challenge, how deep is your rut? Like, is it so deep to where you need somebody, or is it just it's just deep enough to where it's comfortable for you to sit in,
Okay.
you
That makes
know?
sense. Yeah.
So I think if you truly desired it, like you would get it,
Yeah.
you know? That sounds really entitled, but I hope it doesn't come across that way. But yeah.
That makes sense. I did not intend for this to be like therapy,
Well,
but
no,
it's great
it's,
advice.
yeah,
It really
yeah.
is. But I also heard you mention something, and we've been mentioning people the whole
Hmm.
time. And I know that you, when we first spoke, you put a high emphasis on who you surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about the importance of surrounding yourself with people? Maybe similar isn't the right way to
Hmm.
phrase it, but people that will make you better.
Sure. Yeah.
Can you touch
Yeah.
on that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing for me is the people that are most important in my life right now, I never thought would have been my people.
Hmm.
So you can't go into it with tunnel vision. I think you more have to lean into who are people that will not take a lot of energy out of you.
Hmm.
Because I know a lot of, I'll put this in like air quotes, friends that, you know, just it's such a pain to talk to. It's just it's so energy depleting and it feels like you're leading the conversation and it doesn't feel like there's much reciprocation. Like they'll, you'll be there for them and tell them like, oh, I'm here for you, and they'll take you up on that. But then when it's your time for a need, it's like, well, where'd they go?
Hmm.
Like, why are they not? Do they really care about me if they're gonna be with me? Because I think a lot of people as are comfortable being with someone in their height, but then when they're in a low, people don't want to deal with that.
Right.
And I mean, you people in relationships shouldn't have to be your therapist, but you still need to have people that can be a sounding board. And so I think for me, the best way to find those people is just you'll just know. Like
Yeah.
it's just people that you would never expect. So like in high school, I took a class. It was like family. It was like home ec. It was like cooking, and she's a teacher that sews and bakes, and that is not my forte at all. But she was a young professional, and we're kind of close in age, and like we're great friends. And I remember my first impression. I'm like, you're so quirky and like unique, and then but now like we'll speak and then we'll go months without speaking,
Hmm.
and then we'll pick up right back where we left off, and it's easy. And just find friends that are easy. I think,
Yeah.
to put it simply, find people that are just, you can pick up where you left off and who will always support you and that don't have to be present and all in your face all the time.
Yeah.
Um, she's actually the person, there's something called, it's called strawberry people. So
Okay.
what this means, you're probably, what is that? So you go through your contacts list and just go name by name and find people that would be that person, people who are easy. And then, I mean, it doesn't have to be a strawberry, but put an emoji by their name so that when you're in a rut or if you need someone to talk to, just scroll through your contact list and look at the people with those markings.
Mm.
And it'll also be a great way for you to realize how who really is there for you.
Yeah.
Like I have hundreds of people in my contacts and I probably have 20 people with a strawberry.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you really have to and the biggest thing for me is at first when I first came I'm like I'm going to make as many friends as possible, but quantity is not quality at all. And you have to understand that you've heard the phrase probably a friend to all is a friend to none.
Mm.
And I've definitely felt that way recently where I'm trying to be everyone's friend and like I feel like I have no friends. Even though like sure I have a ton of acquaintances and a ton of people I can reach out to,
Yeah.
but like who are people that I can really have a deep intimate conversation with? There's not many. And I think it's because I was investing like 10% of myself into every single person. Rather, I could focus on two or three that I can invest 100% of
Okay.
myself in. And so you really do have to keep your circle small. I mean, you can be as public and have a ton of people, that are, you can have a big following, but have a small circle.
Mm-hmm.
I think even the most successful business people or the most successful, influencers you see, they have a small circle. Even though it looks like there are millions of people that follow them and millions of people that interact with them, the reality is they probably have no more than a dozen.
Yeah.
And so I'm honestly, I can't, I'd be a hypocrite to say that I figured that out. I'm still trying to figure that out. I truly don't know who my people are still,
Okay. I was gonna ask you about that.
because I'm very picky about who's in my circle. And people, you need to be picky. You can't just, oh, this person shows interest in me is, let me just, pick them,
Yeah.
because, then you're going to get real into it, and then you'll get hurt because they're not showing up in a way maybe you wanted to, or maybe you're not showing up in a way that they want. Like these are all reciprocated things. It's not all about us, right?
Right.
So I think too, you have to find relationships that are mutualistic.
Okay.
So
I love the strawberry notion, man. I've
do
never
you?
heard
Okay,
that.
yeah, I
No, that's a cool one.
yeah, yeah,
That needs to be talked about more. I like
yeah.
that. But yeah, I think there's two things. I relate to you on what you just said about
Hmm.
kind of wanting to be friends with everybody. I almost want to, the way I look at it, I guess I don't want to, I want to know everybody.
Yeah.
That's kind
Hmm.
of my
Hmm.
goal. And you're right, because then once you start having that mindset, it can feel like you have nobody because
Hmm.
you're not close to anybody.
Right.
That it's hard because there's so many great people here.
Hmm.
And it's like, how do you put all the time? You can't put
Yeah.
all your time into everybody.
Hmm.
You gotta honestly pick people
Yeah.
to put your time into. So I think that's really hard to do. But I think that the mindset of being friends with everyone, I don't think it's super harmful. I know you
Hmm.
mentioned that, it might not be the best way to look at it, but I also feel like you probably know a ton of people, man, from all the
Yeah.
connections you've made. And I think that's important to have those
Hmm.
connections. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right so
But
far. Yeah.
okay, so yeah, I don't know. I do see where you're coming from though, just in terms of having a
Hmm.
lot of interactions. Who
Hmm.
do you pick? Where does your time
Yeah.
go? That's a hard thing to deal with.
And I will say I'm very similar with you. Like I also want to know everybody.
Yeah.
And I think you're in a very unique situation where I can liken it in this way of who do you want as a podcast guest and who do you want, texting you at 10 p.m.
Okay.
Like those are two different things. Like I think I felt the same way of I want to know everybody and do all the things. So my assumption is I have to get really close with every single person.
Okay.
And that's not true. I think you can have a really great connection with someone, but still have a boundary of, like we're not there yet, or we can't, like, don't limit yourself to
Yeah.
like these connections. They can always grow into really deep friendships.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, I'm every day I would try and meet someone new or talk to someone that, or even connect with people that I'd say I'm like, hey, let's grab lunch, and then 5 months go by and we still haven't had lunch. So
Right.
trying to prioritize that, and grow those things. But you have to take it bite size. I don't have you heard the phrase like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?
No, I've
Because,
never
like,
heard that.
oh, okay, well, yeah,
No.
like, I mean, it's a daunting task to have 40,000 strangers
Yeah.
by your side at every day,
Yeah.
but you do it one person at a time.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I got in the mindset of I need everybody. So I was like, I've, I was in an interview, I think 2 weeks ago, and I, I put it this way, which I like it. I'm a social hoarder. So like I
Okay.
will hoard as many people as
Yeah.
possible because I just think that there's benefit, and there is benefit in that, but not in that approach. I think you have to go one by one.
Okay.
That's how you eat an elephant, is one bite at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, so not to get really nerdy, but so one of my top five Clifton strengths
No, let's run it,
are
man.
okay. What are your top five?
No, no, no. You
Okay,
got.
okay,
Let's.
okay.
You start.
So I'm futuristic.
Okay.
And
That's perfect.
yes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Intellection, achiever, input, and then
Interesting.
woo, which is winning others over.
Yeah.
But input is where you want to archive information and you want to archive people. And you just have this need to put things like in the filing cabinet of your brain. And so that's what I do. Like if someone says, "Hey, I know so and so who works in this," and like maybe that's a job I want,
Mm.
I'll like write down their name. Like my notes app is so messy. Like I, it's so bad. It's just I'm like grocery list, phone number, email, poetry. Like
Yeah,
it's
just
like
a
what
bunch of
is
random
this? Yeah,
crap all compiled.
but
Yeah.
it's because I just have this tendency to want to collect.
Yeah.
And I see that in you too. Like you want to collect people and ideas and different experiences. And how you do that is one at a time.
Okay. I like
I
that.
think if you pick up too much, you'll have too much, and then things will start falling at the sides and you don't know what you have. Versus if you go one by one, you know what you have.
Yeah.
And so it's more manageable that way.
So you're telling
Yeah.
me I can't go club to club just being like, "What's good?"
Yeah,
Let me,
right. Yeah.
collect all of you and your LinkedIn's,
Yeah. Just, yeah.
I get that.
And it's hard because I did that and it proved to be successful for a while until there was burnout.
Okay.
And then it's like, well, now I can't be 100% even for myself. So
Right.
how am I going to even endeavor in all of these ambitions that I have? So you have to start, it's inside out. You have to start with yourself before anything else.
And yeah, it is one at a
Yeah.
time. And also the other thing too is it's hard because I've thought about this. When you're making a connection with someone, a lot of times that um I guess what is the word I'm searching for? Your intention is selfish. It can be, at least,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like even with I was telling my friend the other day, I don't like the word networking. I really don't because
Okay.
it feels
Yeah.
selfish. It feels
Yeah.
like I'm making the connection with you so
Mm,
I can get a job from you or I can get an
right.
opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's hard, right? Because we're talking about hoarding people and like
Yeah.
collecting people, but it's not for
Yeah.
selfish reasons. It's because
Yeah.
we both enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think that's also the goal with this show, right?
Hmm.
I want to hear people's stories. I
Yeah.
want to hear what they have to say. So I'm collecting you not because I want to use you. I want to hear what you have to
Yeah.
say, if that makes
Well,
sense.
it's a mutual thing. So also when you're looking for connections, don't just think, how can this person serve me? How can I serve this
Yeah,
person?
absolutely.
So, for me, that's why I reached out and was like, hey, I can connect you with my network at least, and then you can branch out from there. Or, if you're trying to form these connections, be like, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. Or
Yeah.
if you need input on a certain initiative that you're trying to do, like I'd be happy to be a sounding board. A lot of people don't ever have those interactions.
Mm.
Like those are things they have to force, kind of. But if you take the initiative to say, hey, first of all, you have to know your worth, and that can feel like a selfish thing.
Mm-hmm.
I struggled with that for a long time, but when you realize that you have something to contribute in the world, in the workplace, or professionally, personally, whatever that looks like, you're doing a disservice to yourself if you know your strengths and you don't hone into them,
Mm.
because it's just wasted. It's like water that becomes stagnant. I don't know if you've ever had left water in a water bottle for a few days and then you go to drink it. It's like it's stale. Like I
Yeah.
don't know how to describe water as stale, but it's
Yeah.
stale. And I feel like sometimes with our lives we can become stale by being stagnant, even though the strengths are there, because they're not being in motion and not being moved, then it'll be sour
Mm.
almost. So you have to continually be like, here's what I have to offer, and whoever sees value in you and will pick that up, then also that's a great connection.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's like they're seeing the value of you, and then you're gaining the value of them, and so then a connection from there is super organic. So I think also, and I probably should have prefaced, before you go reaching out for connections, understand what you have to offer,
Okay. I love
because
that.
that makes it less selfish for sure.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's something I struggle with because I've realized recently I had the same conversation. I had this like saying was saying this to the same friend. I've felt like a taker in
Mm,
life recently,
yeah.
and between classes, and I can make all the excuses I want. I there with everything going on, I've been a taker,
Mm,
and I need to get back to that place of giving. That
yeah.
is honestly one of the best feelings is helping someone else out,
Hmm.
and I haven't been doing a good job of it recently. So I think that really hits home of offering yourself to other people
Yeah.
as a resource.
And life, just like quite literally, like weather wise, it happens in seasons.
Yeah.
So you'll have a season when you're just receiving,
Yeah.
but you'll have a season where you're giving. I mean, the goal is to try and have equilibrium
Yeah.
there, try and balance that
Absolutely.
out. But don't ever feel self, because if you think about it, again, if you think long term, the receiving you're gaining now is going to be the giving that you're going to give and provide for someone else in the future.
Right.
So though it's for your benefit in the temporary moment, it can be for the whole world's benefit in a couple months time.
I love that.
So you have to invest in yourself first before you go on investing in others.
Yeah.
And so it'll really add value to what you're gaining. So don't ever feel that it's selfish. I mean, I still feel the same way, but it'll all work out.
I love that.
Yeah,
I do like that notion of just you'll give it back, right,
you
in
will.
time.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we get on to our last topic?
Okay.
I would like to talk about purpose, but we could
Mm,
also touch on mentorship as well.
yeah, for
Do you have
sure.
a preference on which one
I don't. You let me know
I would
what you
love to
want to.
talk about purpose
Yeah.
because we touched on it already a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but how important is it to have a purpose in your life? And we, you already said it, but if maybe anything else you wanted to add, what is your purpose in your life, do you think?
Well, my purpose is to leave people better than how I found them.
Hmm.
I think a lot of times we get so caught up in like we treat the world as if it's yours and that the sun revolves around, like the sun comes up just for you in the morning. Like be for real, it doesn't, you know. And so,
Excuse me, I'm
uh-oh.
getting a call.
Yeah, you're good.
I should have turned my ringer off.
It's okay. Life is full of distractions,
Here we go.
and sometimes
I turned my ringer on because I wanted to know when you were gonna be here.
oh, gotcha.
Normally I don't have it on. Let's reset. So you leaving people better than you found
Yeah,
them.
which I actually like that because you came expecting. Sometimes you have to come expecting in life. Sometimes you have to expect to receive. But anyway, that's a totally different train of thought. But I think for purpose, it. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry
No,
that you
it's
got
okay. It's
interrupted.
okay.
Just your purpose is to leave people
Oh
better than you
yes,
found them.
yeah, yes. Leave people better than how I found them, and to really to understand that, um, yeah, you're here to help serve other people and to live off of each other's experiences because life is different for every single individual, which is why sometimes I don't like how colleges are run because it feels like there has to be a right way and a wrong way to do things.
Hmm.
And a lot of people think, well, if I don't do something in this exact way, how are things going to work out for me? But for you to understand that your purpose, you have to have a purpose. So I think your question was how important. One of them was
Yeah,
how
it
important
was.
is purpose, and to me it's everything because like go back to me moving out. If that was just something that not that I felt passionate to do, but that I was just doing, I would have lost traction so much faster because once you would see all of the logistics, you would get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But because I knew I had a purpose and a goal in which I was doing that, like I would wake up even though I was exhausted and it was 5 in the morning and I had an exhaustive to-do list. I knew that it was for a purpose.
Mm.
And so it made it much easier to get up in the morning. So I think if people don't know their purpose, I would start with what wakes you up in the morning? What gets you excited to get out of bed? And because if you think about it, when you're laying in bed and the first thing you wake up is like, ugh, I don't want to get up. Like that's the first thought of your entire day.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's how your day's going to start is you're going
Right.
to feel like you're in a deficit. But when you wake up and you're like, wonderful, like today's another chance for me to get one step closer to my purpose, to my goal in life. If it's meeting another person, if it's, being the first person to go to class, like and talk to your professor and build that repertoire there so that, you know, maybe your purpose is just to have a job,
Yeah.
or it's like it doesn't have to be so deep to be like family oriented.
Right.
Your purpose can change over time. It really depends on your season of life. And so I think, yeah, find it's very important and find it in whatever that looks like for you. Like I can't tell people what purpose is because that would be selfish of me to assume how you want your life to go. Like some people are, they all they want is, like a small cabin in the woods and settle.
Right.
Like me, I want the 5 mansions,
Yeah,
so success is different for
it
people.
is.
And I think when people are like, well, what does success look like? Like, such a stupid question because, or like when people are like, are you successful? Let's like define it first,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So, like I was thinking about this, even in how UT is run. UT is it's an extrovert's world. Like, let's be so for real.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, and again, I am introverted, so I applied to be an ambassador, right? So, like, do tour guides and stuff.
Okay.
I also applied to be an RA.
Okay.
And these are both positions that I know, again, this is not selfish. I just know that I would be able to contribute in positive ways in both of those roles. But both of those roles, I made it to like the final interviews. So like for the ambassador one, made it to the last interview. For the RA one, I actually went through like 8-week class and then still was not given a job.
Wow.
So that felt like a waste of time.
Yeah.
But everyone, it was very, either you had to be the loudest voice in the room, and and that's how you prove yourself to be successful, and that's how you achieve your purpose, is by doing that. But like, don't fake anything just for the sake of something. Facades are so dangerous because when you put that mask on and you're like being someone who you really aren't,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're going home and like looking in the mirror and all you see is the facade, then you kind of like don't even know who you are anymore
Right.
because you're being something for someone else. And so, like for me, I knew to go be authentic in those spaces. And so, I mean, it cost me both of those positions. I remember during the RA class, we had a midpoint check-in, and they said, "You're very you." What did they say? They're like, "You're quiet. Like you need to speak up more." And that is something I'm like never told. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'm told, "Shut up."
Yeah.
And so I remember, like thinking, okay, you know what? They are looking for people that are the loudest voice in the room, and like in order for you to reach your purpose, it's not to be the loudest.
Hmm.
People, I know a lot of people, and you probably know people or have had podcast episodes where it just feels like there's nothing but volume being contributed. And I don't want to be a person that adds volume to a conversation. I want to be a person that adds value to a conversation. And so for me, I want to have a voice that makes a demand on the room. So, for example, in that RA class, when I spoke up, the entire room went silent because they knew that I didn't just speak to speak, I spoke to add value.
Right.
And so it made my voice even more valuable to them. And so I think that is like the biggest thing that I want people to understand is you just have to contribute what you know how, and don't try and just falsely contribute different things, because you're actually like discounting yourself, and your voice is not going to be as valuable and people aren't going to listen to you. But if you're able to capture people in that way, then everything's going to be authentic when it comes to connections, when it comes to, because then people truly know who you are
Mm.
and they're able to like put a finger on your purpose, and then you'll have people that'll help you achieve that purpose. And so I think it all just comes together, and it just has to, again, it goes back to kind of how you approach the world. So
Just being yourself is
yeah,
the main
that
and
should
most
be your
important thing.
first purpose, is to be yourself, and then that'll help leverage any other purpose that you may have for your life.
I love that. That really resonates with me because there are a couple things that I want to get involved in on campus,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not going to name them, but it is that I've heard that from two people that are, it's you and one other person have told me something similar,
Mm-hmm.
that you kind of have to be someone you're not
Yep.
to get in,
Yep.
and
That's not your place.
then it's not your place. And I
Yeah.
think that's a powerful thing.
And it's a
So
hard thing to
that's a hard thing
grasp
to accept.
because you look at it at what it is and you're like, man, I want that.
Right.
But how it played out for them may not be how it plays out for you.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to, how do you define success? How do you define what works and what doesn't? Because it doesn't take as much energy when I'm in places that know my value and that hone into it. Because then the work I do is the work I really want to do versus the work I think I have to do,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
It does make
Yeah.
sense. So I know you touched on this a little bit too. is there a specific way that people can begin to find their purpose? And my friend came back yesterday. He was at a club meeting, and he literally was telling me they talked about this, and it was what brings you, like, what makes you. This is in simple terms. What makes you sad?
Mm-hmm.
What excites you?
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a third one, but like all three in combination are
Mm-hmm.
kind of meant to help you find that
Yeah.
purpose. What would you tell someone that doesn't know what their purpose is yet?
Well, purpose lies not in the physical side. Like, you can have all of these types of accolades or different jobs you may have, but that's not where purpose is.
Hmm.
Purpose is when it's like a mix of the emotional and it's a mix of the spiritual. It's those things that are what you go to bed thinking about.
Yeah.
And so, and like I'll be so clear, like for me it's my spirituality. It's, I'm a part of a Christian organization on campus. And I think now that you have insight into my life, I mean, it's proven to be successful because I know what serves me well and what blesses me and how I can be a blessing to others.
Hmm.
So, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's a very deep thing, and it's one of those things where there isn't like a workbook for it.
Right.
Like you have to do the homework yourself and do this like self-analysis of what has been, the constant in my life.
Hmm.
Like, what are my values? Like, start there, write a sheet. So in Ignite, we do this with incoming freshmen to get like a base level of how the rest of their college experience is going to be.
Okay.
And so what we do is this game called Trash Your Values.
Okay.
It's very, at first I was like, this is the dumbest thing, but it actually proves to be very, very impactful. So you
Yeah.
write down, I think it's like 10 different values you may have. So it could be accountability, it could be leadership, it could, just different types of, what would those be, like adjectives
Strengths
or,
or
yeah,
yeah.
different things like that. And then, so you write 10 of them out. And then slowly, it's like, okay, now you can only have eight. And so you literally start trashing your values,
Okay.
even though they're all valuable to you. But then once you're done, you'll see your top like three or your top one. And then you'll be like, okay, so this is the thing that is the basis of everything else.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, I love like friendship and I love communication and I love leadership. But the core of all of that is love
Hmm.
because I have a love for people
Mm-hmm.
and I believe you have to have a love for yourself. So then when you're like, okay, my purpose is just to love.
Okay.
And even though it sounds so simple, it is the foundation of everything you do. And so you kind of have to strip away so like just take, analysis of your life and then strip away each thing. So like, okay, you're a podcaster. Okay, so like what is that? Why do you do this? Why do you do what you do?
Well, I think I do what I do because I enjoy hearing other people's stories,
Mm-hmm.
which then can boil down to building relationships,
Mm-hmm.
which then does end up connecting to love, which
Yeah.
is, caring for
Yeah.
somebody. But how would you, go about it? I'm sorry if I like went
No,
through
no,
the
no,
whole
no, no,
process
no,
right
you're
there,
fine.
but
No, but that's great. I mean, I just want to show people like that is how simple it can be. Now, it's a complex thing. It may take a long time. It's not going to be that fast, I think, to pick things apart. But yeah, that's how you get to that. So I guess for me, like, do you want me to do something
yeah,
similar?
let's do something
Okay, yeah,
similar.
yeah.
I like this.
So I think for me, I love to connect with people. Again, social hoarder here. And I think it's because I like to see people for who they really are and not like who I think they are. Like I'm not gonna make assumptions. Like I want people to tell me like, hey, what are you about? Like, what are the things that you like? What are you interested in? Why do you do what you do? And because I love having conversations like this because again, I want to add value to people's lives. I
Mm.
want people to feel better than how they found me. And so that goes to that. And then again, it boils down to love. You can even boil it down further to go to faith. Like, because of my personal convictions, I believe everyone should feel that way.
Yeah.
And so, and that's kind of the catalyst of why I do what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that is because I asked this question a few podcasts ago
Mm-hmm.
about that definition of success.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Again, I think success boils down to love
Yep.
because I mean, another way to answer your question would be I do this because I love it. It always boils down to
Yeah,
something about you or something about the other
that's
person.
true. Yeah.
But and we already kind of mentioned how important relationships are just in life, and relationships have everything to do with love and
Yeah.
caring and understanding someone else. So I really like that. I like that
Yeah.
you pointed out love as the main purpose. There's a couple more questions I have, but I don't know. Let's see how long we've been going
I
for.
don't even know.
It's been hour and 9 minutes.
Wow.
But I did
That
have
goes by so fast.
it really does every single time. I have a really deep question. The question was, what do you think humans are meant to do? Would you answer that with love, or would you answer that with something else? Why were we, and you can, I have no problem with you expressing the faith side on this as well, but why do you think humans were brought on this earth? And part of that's such a hard question for me to even think about because
Yeah.
we are contributing to the downfall of our planet. So,
Yes.
basically
Yeah.
the question is, what were we brought here to do you think? What do we need to do differently as a society to
This is good.
improve?
Yeah.
This is a huge touch point.
I'm so excited, and I have receipts. You ready for this?
Okay, let's
So
hear it.
if you actually go, and you can do this in your own time, there's a verse, it's Genesis. So like that's the first book of the Bible, right? This is like Adam and Eve eat the apple, sin, and like all of this, basic stuff. But hidden in when God created the earth, there's a verse. So it's Genesis. So when people are like, what's the point of my life? I would answer Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 and 28. So first of all, it was God told Adam to subdue the earth. And it's like, what does that mean? So like, this is the first guy on planet Earth, in this account, and um, and this actually corresponds with the question, why do good things happen to bad people? Or sorry, why do bad things happen to good people? Because we all think about that all the time. Like, why is life so unfair? Or like, if there is a God, why do these things happen? And the answer is because there is an enemy. And so people think like Satan and hell, and that's the biggest misconception. Even like 80% of Christians don't even know this. But like Satan is not in hell. He is living on the earth. He'll be in hell, once the earth is over, like
Yeah.
whatever that is,
Yeah.
But he um, is the earth is his. So the king of the earth is not Jesus. It's Satan, because this is where he was cast down to. And so what I truly believe we were created for is God needed. So if you think about this, like God is like the highest form of anything, right? Why would he make himself less to try? Because so the story of Satan is Satan was an angel in heaven, and then Satan was like, I want to be God. And God's like, no, you're not. And then cast him down to the earth. And sorry, we're like going in story time, but I promise it has a really like deep touch to it. And so when Satan was brought to the earth, um, I mean, God could have destroyed him. Like, why didn't he? Like, that's a big question a lot of like theologians ask. But the answer is God's never going to make himself lower. And you can even apply this in your own life. This is something he created. He's not, the creator is not ever going to battle the creation. So what's he going to do? He's going to create people to take the earth and subdue it. Like, I'm going to give humans the authority to rule over the earth. They have access to all the animals, all the plants. Like, this is theirs. And the end goal is for them to take over the enemy. But then, as the story goes, Eve was like, "Ooh, this apple looks really good," and then, and it's the knowledge of good and evil. And what's interesting is a lot of people, like especially like politically in today's world, everyone is so concerned about what's right and what's wrong. But I think everyone's missing the point, because it's not about right or wrong; it's about life. Because there was the tree of knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life, and they partook of the wrong tree. They're like, I want to know all of these things, and then people got really intellectual, and at the end of the day, it's like we're all just spiritual beings. We're all just people who want to love and be loved. Like that's the nature of who we are. But then we put so much nuance into it, and then we start talking about, you know, all of these what's right and wrong and good and evil, and like we're missing the point, because the point is that we have been entrusted the entire earth, and with anyway, so then, Jesus comes in, and then, woohoo, but then, there's still work to be done. Like, if Jesus died for our sins, then why are we still here? Like, if he like defeated, but it's because there's still work that has to be done. And that's where we have to come in. The Bible uses this term overcomers. And I think we need to be the ones that overcome the world. We need to be the ones that, fight for life. Not even for what's right or wrong. Just we fight for love. And, if people really got that message, I mean, these talks about abortion, or is it right to, have the death penalty for someone who's murdered, like they get really nuanced. And it's just like, let's just focus on yourself and other people. Well, I mean, foremost, your personal relationship with the Lord. I mean, that's what I believe. And then from there, it kind of, turns into those things. So that's why I believe we were created. We were originally created to just, the earth is ours, and there was supposed to be no death, because death is a hard thing. There was not supposed to be murder or lying or stealing, all of these things that we do to each other. And it's like, why do we do it? It's not in our nature. I mean, now it is, but it's because we were deceived. And deception is such a tricky thing, because when you're deceived, you truly believe it's the truth. Like, you don't know you're deceived. I mean, because you're deceived, right? Like,
Right.
otherwise. So I think people are still just deceived in what is the meaning of life. Like, at the end of it, and the end of the day, it's, we are made to be conquerors of the world and of an enemy that is ours. Like, Satan is not God's enemy; he's our enemy. Because there'll be a day, I believe, that I don't know, we'll finish whatever work that needs to be done, and it'll and then he'll be defeated, and then he'll go to hell, and woohoo. It's like
And there's the
the
big
end.
party.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't know if that makes sense.
So
It's
it
a
boils
lot of
down to love.
it does, yeah. Because I think it's 1 Corinthians 13, it's called the love chapter. It's like, love is patient, love is kind, love is does not boast, it is not proud, it's not easily angered, it doesn't keep record of wrongs. And it's like, Lord, I don't do half of those things. But it's explaining what love is. And then at the very end it says, and now these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. Right? Like, we can put our faith in something. We can hope, like we hope for the best. Like, if I failed this test, I'm hoping that something's right. So there's faith, hope, and love. And it says the greatest of these is love. So, like, love triumphs all of it, because love undoes what hate does.
Right.
And so, as a person who has, experienced a lot of life in my very young 20 years, love to me will undo all of that. And so I think when people get that mindset, then we're going to stop caring about all these silly little things at the end of the day. And then that'll help us reach our creative purpose. Because also, we were made to, so there's Adam, and then God's like, you need a helpmate. Like, you're not going to be alone. And then I also want more of you guys. So then,
Yeah.
so it's like we were literally made to be in community. And so, especially with social media, it's taking us away from our creative purpose when you think about it. Because what social media does is it distracts you, and it puts in front of your face, it takes your face off of what your face should be looking at. If you're looking at your phone, it's stealing your time, it's robbing you. But when your face is at the people around you, who can I make better, and who can make me better? And once you stop looking beyond that, then I think, like, I truly believe social media is such a it's a business. Like, people are being paid billions of dollars to try and find out how they can keep you glued to your phone as much as
Yes.
possible.
Yep.
And so it's almost an evil thing, and I don't want to sound like someone's grandma being like, social media is like from the devil. It has it has its fantastic, like, when can we ever be so connected to the entire world than a time such as this? But we have to use it with discernment and with heavy caution. And I think, I don't know, we just live in a world of distraction. And when we're distracted, we don't know what our true purpose is. So I think even before any of this, it's focus and focus on what you should be focusing on. It's just life, you know? Does that,
It makes a lot of
yeah,
sense.
okay.
So, how would you treat the difficult conversations we're having now, right? Do you treat
Mm-hmm.
them with that lens of love?
Mm-hmm.
Or there's also the other point, which is if everyone were just to live
Mm-hmm.
with that goal of loving, then we wouldn't even have those problems,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But since those problems are here, let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about it.
Yeah.
How do you reverse that effect,
Mm-hmm.
or how do you have those difficult conversations in a lens of love, or if that's even the right thing to
Yeah.
do?
So I think first of all, every conversation is different. Like this conversation we're having, I will never have with another person ever because I treat things very individualistic. Because you're an individual with your individual, perspectives, and it would be a disservice to you if I had a a prepared list of answers
Yeah,
and that I'm just giving out to everybody
yeah,
because again, you're devaluing your words at that point.
right.
So for me, it's almost like I just kind of take it as it comes because that's also just how you have to deal with everything. But for me, I think too, I come at the lens of like empowerment almost. Like if we're having a difficult conversation, it's because something's pulling at your heart. Like something in your life is just not clicking right. And and so for me, like I want to help you in that just as like I would want help if I were in that situation. And so, again, going back to my faith, like prayer is such a like you're interceding for someone, like you're okay, like instead of people talking behind each other's backs, if we
Mm,
just prayed for like God, I hope that it works out for them, or help me be a helper to them. Like if you start again, kind of going back to serving and loving in that regard, then it'll really reduce, I think, just the problems in general, but it'll also help. Again, like you can't do it alone, and so it'll really help you build a community in which you can combat those problems.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So.
Well, last thing to end with. Do you have like a specific quote that you
Mm.
like to live by that you could pass on to the audience before we wrap up?
Wow, there's a lot.
I
I'm
know, and
trying
you've
to
already said a
think.
few of them too. Like you've been dropping knowledge this podcast
uh,
for sure.
I've been. You're gonna have great clips, and we're gonna have some things go viral. That's the hope.
That is the hope.
Yeah. I would say to never discount yourself. Like we're our worst critics, and if we assume that something's not going to work out, then I mean we've already lost the battle because we have, again, going back to deception, we've deceived ourselves into thinking that that's the reality, that oh, like I might not be capable, or I might not, but it doesn't, the what ifs, are what ifs. Like what's the point of stressing? And if you think about it, someone likened it to sitting in a rocking chair. You're moving, but you're not going anywhere.
Mm,
So like you're just rocking, you're stressing. Stress is not going to prevent the issue. It's just making you more anxious about the issue.
right.
So when you just decide to not do that anymore, then you're going to be living a life where okay, whatever happens is going to happen, and stress is not control. I think a lot of people think if I worry about it, I'll have some control over it, and you can't.
Hmm.
I mean, Jesus, he spoke in this one parable and he said that why worry about tomorrow because today has enough trouble of its own. And it's like, boy, isn't that the
Wow.
truth?
Wow.
And so I think people get so caught up in their yesterdays, they're so fumbled by what's happened, or they're too worried about what's going to happen that they're missing what's happening.
Right.
And so I think to just be in the present because that's where all of it is. The present can help, determine your future, and it can also help ease the pain of your past or the regrets of your past. Maybe your freshman year of college wasn't that great. You can't go back,
Yeah.
but you do have sophomore year, And I'd much rather you have a wonderful sophomore year than you wait till senior year to have that year.
Right.
So I think people underestimate the power of today. And I think in finding purpose and in defining success and in living a life that is yours, like don't be a bystander in your own life. Like be a participant because this is your life. It's not, your life is your life. It's not my life. And so I don't want you to miss out on it because you're waiting for someone to take the lead when really you're the one to initiate it. And
Or
what
if you're focused on the past.
exactly. And what better time than today?
I
So,
love that. So you left us
yeah.
with two things.
Yeah,
Be in the present, never discount yourself.
that's
I
right.
think being in the present goes along with the quote that I didn't have in mind a quote, but I do now.
Okay.
And it's the same thing. It's just be
Yeah.
where your feet are.
Yep, that's right.
And it was
Yeah.
I mean, I know plenty of people have said it, but I remember it was an article on an email about one of the UT football players said that. That was one of his
Mm-hmm.
motto was to be where your feet are. And I think that goes literally is saying the same thing as just be
Yeah.
in that present moment.
Yep.
And that is I think that's the most powerful thing you can do, right?
Yep.
Because there's no more important moment than right now,
That's right.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
But more than anything, Jeremiah, I just want to thank you so much for coming on to
Absolutely.
the
Thanks for
podcast
having me.
and for offering everything that
Yeah.
you have in terms of connections and friendship. And
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate you.
Well, thanks for having this platform. I think it's powerful that you're using it in the right way. Anyone can have a podcast, and I mean, we live in an age anyone can start one, but you're having one, I believe, not to add volume to the already growing noise that is media, but you're adding value to it.
Thank you.
So I
I
appreciate
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes another episode of Granted, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thanks for being here.
Make sure to follow everything that Jeremiah has got going on. I know he's got a lot that he's involved in. So, I'll put your Instagram in the description. If there's anything
Absolutely.
else you'd like me to share, I
Sure.
can do that. But make sure you subscribe to the podcast for more content like this. Make sure you check out the TikTok where we'll make sure that all the most important moments are captured. But thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. We're Audi 5000. Peace.
Thanks, guys.